Yeah.
So you mentioned this before, this big win, you launched Solo Parent and you've have like a contract as far as I understand with the US military. That's no small thing. So tell me the story behind it. What did you do? What worked? What did you learn from this? Like, how did you get this into an organization that big?
Zach, I wish I could tell you it was some brilliance on our part, but it really did kind of come to us. I think the main thing that I have learned in the last 6 or 7 years since we've been around is just being consistent and getting your name out there. The truth is, the military opportunity came from a Google search. And so I cannot tell you enough how important it is to have your website, your materials, easy to find, because that's what started this whole conversation with the military. And over the last couple of years, that just kind of grew, because in the US military, the divorce rate is twice as high. And they have programs through the chaplaincy within the military to what they call readiness and enrichment programs. So that's things like Stephen Covey and Dave Ramsey, that kind of thing. But they've had nothing in any of the armed forces for single parents. And so that need drove them to try to find me. And then that just grew. The guy that I was working with got transferred to the Pentagon. He brought me up to the Pentagon to present to the Office of the Chief of Chaplains, and it just snowballed from there. I will tell you, it was remarkable how quickly this ignited. Like, I was told when I first met at the Pentagon, good news and bad news. The bad news is it takes forever to get anything approved and sanctioned by the US government, by the Army. The good news, that's the bad news. The good news is that once you're in, it's almost harder to get out, because it's so hard to get in. They just keep using your materials over and over and over. So I would say the most important piece of marketing, it wasn't anything clever. It was just really paying attention to the need out there and hitting it direct on, and making yourself accessible. And that has turned into an amazing contract. We've now trained over almost 100 chaplains just in the last 9 or 10 months, and it continues to grow. I was just back at the Pentagon meeting with the head of the Air Force, and so we are in the Army now. It's in the approval process to go through to the Air Force, and it just continues to mushroom.
I mean, to maybe congratulate you and pat you on the back, I would say this: Seth Godin says, "Ideas worth talking about get talked about."
Yes, exactly.
If you have something of value, if you know this is important, this is a need, and from what I understand, because I know we've had conversations in the past, you didn't start this to try to sell something. Mm-hmm. You started this because it mattered, because there was a need there, and you wanted to create a real solution to a problem. Yeah. Meaning, you actually created something worth talking about that was transforming people's lives. And when the right person heard about it with the right connections, and they came back to you and found it, they went, this is the thing that we need. Does that sound kind of like how this is happening?
So well said. You should have answered my question for me, because that's exactly right. If you pay attention to the margins, if you pay attention to the needs out there, you really tune into that, and you create and develop an answer to those problems or an answer to those needs, stick with it, because it will blossom. And that was my experience in the music business too, is paying attention to the things that no one else was paying attention to. And your quote is that's exactly right. You're giving someone something to talk about, and it has to start with your passion. I mean, this isn't just a clever idea. This is very much one of the things that we say a lot as an organization. This organization was created by single parents for single parents. This is not built in a laboratory. This is not just psychological research, and we obviously incorporate all that. But the origin of it is really having been in these shoes and being able to speak the language, so to speak.